Voice prophesied concerning the unlikely outcome of these elections.
We are literally just minutes away now from the start.
This is exactly 3 months and 8 days from when The Voice prophesied.
Concerns this afternoon about Hillary Clinton's
Just
health.
like the voice of God, Prophet Emmanuel Makandiwa had prophesied.
There are concerns in Mozambique following the death of Renamo's leader, Afonso Dhlakama.
The Vice President of the Republic of Zimbabwe has been poisoned.
We've just received some video of former Secretary of State.
Scenes like those from an elaborate fictional movie filled the local television station.
The army declared overnight that it was taking control of the country.
The situation in our country has moved.
Did you feel like there's something special about
this one?
The Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa had to be driven back to Johannesburg yesterday.
There's breaking news in Tianjin, China.
People are dead after a chemical plant explosion in China.
And the streets echo to the sound of gunfire.
Where is he getting these things? When that man speaks, we have to listen.
We have a man of God, a true seer, a true prophet.
The words of the Voice have come to pass. They have never fallen to the ground, and they never will.
Open fire, open fire, open fire. I saw a man. To me, he appeared like he was a soldier, and he was carrying a gun. He was carrying a gun, passing through a certain place, and he began to shoot people. Talking about here in this country.
Many injured and 3 dead. Just 2 days after the nation went peacefully to vote, there is bloodshed.
The prophecy came to fulfillment. We never thought we would see blood on the streets. We never thought we would hear shootings in Zimbabwe. But such an event happened here in Zimbabwe. We saw people dying. We saw blood on the streets. That man speaks things that happen.
We need to pray for the nation China. We need to pray for China. I know we've got a lot of people that are there. There is a place somewhere where these guys are working on like a nuclear. The way it is going to work, we need to pray. It's not all going to be about an explosion, contamination of the atmosphere. We really need to pray. It is really catastrophic. It's chaotic.
Widespread destruction. A number
A series of catastrophic explosions ripped through a warehouse holding
Dozens of
toxic
people are
chemicals.
dead and hundreds are injured. Survivors throughout the city are in shock.
The death toll is climbing in China after massive fireballs fill the sky.
Just like the voice of God, Prophet Emmanuel Makandiwa had prophesied. Sad news indeed.
I'm seeing a group teaming up, gathering themselves together and formulating a terrorist group, because I saw it and it wasn't good gathering, but in Zambia. in Zambia.
At least 250 people have been arrested following xenophobic riots in the capital, Lusaka. Police say 2 people have been burnt alive in the troubles.
Violence in Zambia has taken a fatal turn, with 2 people having been burned to death this week.
I'm Gibson from Zambia. I witnessed the prophecy the man of God gave. For I've witnessed the xenophobia he mentioned to happen in Zambia, and it took place. I saw he is a voice to all the nation.
And 2 Zambians were burnt alive this week in Lusaka amid a wave of xenophobic violence. 62 shops were destroyed.
These attacks are the worst xenophobic violence the country has suffered.
I live thousands of miles away from Zimbabwe, and I've had the opportunity to hear the voice of our prophet, an international prophet that is called by God, all the way in the corners of the Turks and Caicos in the United States of America. And he is truly a voice, an international voice. I remember the prophecy that he gave about Ramaphosa.
Now it was so clear, it was written Ramaphosa. Okay, Ramaphosa. So, the city of Ramaphosa in South Africa there. And the Lord said we need to pray for the family. Yes.
And I followed that prophecy and was able to see that that prophecy came to pass.
Well, Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa had to be driven back to Johannesburg yesterday after his plane developed technical faults. Ramaphosa's plane experienced those faults a while after taking off from White River in Mpumalanga and was forced to return to the airport. The Deputy President had to be driven back to his Johannesburg home by his South African Police Service security detail.
Not only just is he a voice here in Zimbabwe, but he's a voice all over the world, especially in the Turks and Caicos in the United States, where I live and reside.
I am a candidate for president of the United States.
I am officially running for President of the United States.
I am running for President of the United States.
I was praying even for the Americans as well. So one of the promising candidates being rushed to the hospital before the day of election. Is it a compromise? Is it a foul play? Is she able to survive the collapse? Even if she is to survive, the people now will begin to doubt whether she will be able to represent them well.
And we start with the Fox's alert. Renewed concerns this afternoon about Hillary Clinton's health.
Hillary Clinton facing political backlash
We've
tonight.
just received some video.
Conspiracy theorists have cooked up just about every
Moments ago, because of some apparent medical episode.
Happened exactly the way he mentioned it. She started coughing uncontrollably. He spoke about it well before it happened. He says she's going to fall sick.
I've been talking so
There's a very prominent person in politics that we need to pray for. Because I see something entering into his stomach. Vomiting, 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 vomiting. At first it's food. At the end it is blood.
At that time, no one knew who it was and what was going on. Everything was just normal.
and he's in the hospital.
Pinda mchipatara.
Only prayers can save this man.
Minamato chete ndo ingachengetedza upenyu hwemunhu uyu.
And the man has been so loyal.
Uyo manga akazvipira chose
to his authorities.
Nevari pamusoro pake.
To his authority.
Nevari pamusoro pake.
I remember in the prophecy he was talking, he mentioned the sound of a helicopter. And sure enough, the then vice president was airlifted to South Africa when he was attacked.
Over the weekend that he was poisoned at a rally in Gwanda. It's believed Mnangagwa was taken out of the country in the company of his wife Auxilla last night.
And this came to pass like many of his prophecies.
Good afternoon to you. Just wait for company Airbus 319 to go behind you, then push back to approve, face the south.
London Heathrow, Europe's biggest and busiest airport, transporting more than 73 million passengers every year.
Just your passport, please. That's fine. How many passengers? 6.
This is so big. This is so complex. It's Gatwick on steroids.
With the flights taking off or landing every 45 seconds, Heathrow is operating at full capacity, and there's no room for error. Even the smallest problem can cause chaos.
I saw Britain, I saw I saw British Airways. We need to pray for them. One of them, of the airline, I see it on their ground, which is a rare thing.
Drone hit a passenger plane. The British Airways jet was about to land at London's Heathrow Airport.
A new kind of air scare. A British Airways flight colliding with what officials believe was a drone as it came in for a landing at London's Heathrow Airport.
The incident actually happened. There was breaking news on the media where it was reported that an unexpected incident had happened where a drone had hit a British airplane.
An inbound flight carrying 139 people coming in from Geneva collided, the pilot says, with the drone.
If something goes wrong here, we're affecting a lot of people's days.
We need to pray for Mozambique because I was praying and I saw half-mast, the flag. But the flag was upside down. It was opposite, but it was half-mast in Mozambique there.
And everything he said came to pass. I remember he said, I'm seeing the flag on half-mast.
Mozambique's long-time opposition leader, Afonso Dhlakama, has died at the age of 65.
Mozambique's veteran rebel leader, Afonso Dhlakama, has died at the age of 65.
Following the death of Renamo's leader, Afonso Dhlakama.
At first, I used to think that he was just a voice for the nation of Zimbabwe. But I've come to realize that he's the voice for the world.
I saw something like a forced amnesty. You know what an amnesty is? A forced amnesty. Because of what? I was praying. I think about 20 minutes into my prayer, I was caught up in a revelation. And I was taken to a place just across the border. And the river flowed from SA prison into a Zimbabwean prison.
He prophesied about the forced amnesty, how that prisoners were going to be released from South Africa. These were Zimbabwean prisoners coming back to Zimbabwe, and we saw the prophecy coming to pass. And every headline was saying that South Africa is releasing prisoners.
May 2016. We are calling upon every patriotic Zimbabwean to be involved in the march in support of His Excellency.
You have to really do your homework very well before the march begins. If it goes well from the beginning up to the end, but that becomes an activity that you've just opened, which will go on and on and on.
Supporters of Zimbabwe's ruling ZANU-PF party have joined a march through the capital, Harare, in support of President Robert Mugabe. Dubbed a million-man march, it comes after the main opposition party staged its own rally last month.
You have made it possible in the minds of people to regroup again and repeat something of that same nature in a different direction.
Today, he must go today, not tomorrow. Want him to go today.
All that he said came to pass. He is a man who is in the future. He is a man who is with us in the present.
In 2016, the nation of Zimbabwe was gripped in anticipation of an impending general election, which was to follow in 2018. It was at this point when there was no indication of what the prophet was saying that he uttered a statement.
People that you should never expect to see sitting in front of a camera, you'll see them sitting there. But their uniform, they're not supposed to sit there. But you'll see them sitting there. Is it not supposed to be time for news?
A statement out of context really left us a bit confused, but then as the events began to unfold, we began to see that the prophet is more than what we think he is.
Good morning, Zimbabwe. The situation in our country has moved to another level.
And now the fish eagle was comfortable. Then I saw, as the fish eagle was asleep, that flying eagle returned without even giving a short notice and forcefully took its feathers back as if the fish eagle had no right to use them. But because the action was fast, that also disturbed even the order or the arrangement, the order of the fish eagle's feathers, and its family was again exposed for a season.
Zimbabwe's car shortages have reached alarming levels, with people being forced to sleep in
Have
queues
affected
outside
US dollar payments into and out of Zimbabwe for both private and public organizations.
It could shut down if the country's foreign currency shortages are not addressed
Consumers
urgently.
panicking over a deepening currency crisis.
A shortage of US dollars has plunged the financial system into disarray and forced businesses to
Zimbabwe
close.
is grappling with the worst economic crisis in a decade.
They've run out of the recently introduced currency
The problem
bond
is
notes.
that there's hardly any cash
in
around.
a new currency known as real-time gross transfer dollars, or RTGS dollars.
The whole incident, the whole prophecy, the whole experience just elucidated further why the prophet of God, Emmanuel Makandiwa, is actually the voice of God.
It is good to know that you have a voice in this season and in this time that is accurate as Prophet Emmanuel Makandiwa.
He goes into the future to come and convey messages and mysteries that are hidden to us.
The man is the voice of God.
Prophet Emmanuel Makandiwa is the voice of the world.
As the voiceless have heard him speak the unseen.
The voice, the voice, the voice.
It's because he brings the mind and the heart of God to the people.
Because he speaks into the future. Because he speaks the mind of God.
Is a man who's able to enter the stream of time at a point of his choosing and see the events thereof and come back to this present moment and tell us what is to come.
Life has been given in Jesus' name. You shall not die.